Hi guys, so my name's Officer Nicki Zautner with the UW-Madison Police Department, and this is my partner Canine Kobalt. So Canine Kobalt is going to be 4 years old this month. He joins us from Holland. Because he's from Holland, he actually has all of his commands in Dutch, so he doesn't speak any sort of English. Hey bud. Nice. Kobalt is one of 3 canines that we have in our canine unit. The other 2 dogs we have are explosives detections canines, and this is our 1 narcotics detection canine. Kobalt is a very special dog because he actually has 3 talents that he's trained in. The first and the biggest one is going to be narcotics detection. So Kobalt is trained to sniff anything from suitcases to houses to lockers and even the mail. So that means that we can deploy him on traffic stops to sniff a vehicle. We can use him in search warrants. We can use him in schools to help make sure that lockers and vehicles are safe there. And we can also deploy him in airports and post office if we need to. The second talent that Kobalt has is he assists us in evidence recovery. So how Kobalt does that is, he can pick up on items that have human odor on them in an area that doesn't naturally have human odor. So what that looks like is if someone is hanging on to an item and toss it into a field or into the woods, Kobalt can help us find that item. This is really helpful in cases where someone stole something they shouldn't have and they throw it to get rid of it, or if a criminal is fleeing from a crime scene and is throwing evidence. Kobalt can be really helpful in finding that for us. The third thing that Kobalt is trained to do is human tracking. So where this is really helpful is he can help us find lost kids that walk away from home. He can help us with mental health patients that walk away from hospitals, dementia patients that get lost while they're out walking around, and even criminals that flee from crime scenes. So Kobalt is able to be very successful in these 3 areas because of one very special thing that he brings to the table, his nose. So these dogs' nose are up to 5 times more sensitive than the average human nose. Basically what this looks like, and the analogy I like to use, is when somebody's baking a batch of cookies. When a human walks into a kitchen where fresh cookies were just baked, we just smell these yummy, delicious cookies. When Kobalt walks into that same kitchen, he can actually smell that each individual ingredient in that batch of cookies. So he walks into that kitchen and he smells warm sugar and hot baking powder and all those individual ingredients. So it's pretty amazing, and that's what makes him so good at his job. So after a hard work on patrol with me, Kobalt gets to come home with me at the end of every day. He gets to be a part of our family. At 85 pounds, he's a very big part of our family, but a part of our family nonetheless. He's a little different than a normal pet dog. He's actually a very horrible pet at home because all he wants to do is work. He's very high energy. He's very driven to do his job, and he wants nothing more than to just keep working and ride around with me in the patrol car all day. But like all good workers, we do need rest days, so he needs to take those days to calm down and relax. We have a big yard that he gets to play with, and I actually have another dog at home that's our pet. Thankfully, they get along together. But yeah, Kobalt's a little bit different than a normal pet, but he's part of our family. So how did Kobalt become a police dog? So Kobalt, he came from a breeder in Holland, and it's a very special breeder that focuses on training working dogs. So from the day he was born, he was actually selected for this kind of work. From there, he went through special screening to make sure that he had the right kind of personality, drive, and energy to actually be successful as a police dog. He passed all of that with flying colors. And when he came to the U.S. at about a year old, I was partnered up with him, and we went through a training academy together. So this is where both me and Kobalt learned how to work together and be successful as a team. We were down there for 4 weeks initially. We went out of Pennsylvania, was a kennel down there that did the training. And that's where we built our bond together, and again, learned how to work together. It takes a lot of trust between the two of us to be successful in our job. So I'm very thankful that we got that opportunity. But from there, it's been a lot of hard work and dedication to keep up with the training. And yeah, that's how Kobalt became a police dog. So, how did I become a police officer? Well, I work in the state of Wisconsin, and it all starts with kind of those baseline requirements that are required for any cop in this state. Very basic. You have to be at least 18 years old. You have to have a high school diploma or GED and at least 60 college credits, and then no felony convictions or too big of issues with law enforcement previously. From there, every officer has to go through a training academy. This is currently 720 hours of training, and that's training that we have to go through before we're allowed to be a police officer out on the street. That goes through everything from what the laws in Wisconsin are, to teaching you how to drive a squad car, how to interact with the community, and how to be a really good problem solver so you can help people that need your help. From there, I got hired with the UW-Madison Police Department. I went through a 16-week training course on top of the 720-hour academy, and now I'm a police officer with the department. So I actually didn't know that I wanted to be a police officer for quite some time. People make fun of me, but initially I thought I wanted to be a firefighter, so it's a little bit of a running joke. But when I was in college, I got involved in an internship with the Division of Criminal Investigations, and that is a law enforcement agency that covers the entire state of Wisconsin. So I got to see a lot of cool things and participate in a lot of investigations with some special agents with that division. And by the time I got done with that internship, I absolutely fell in love with the idea of being a law enforcement officer, and that motivated me to put myself through that police academy. So how do you become a K-9 officer? So step one for most departments, you have to be a police officer first. And the majority of the time you have to be a police officer for a couple of years. The reason for that is departments want to select people that are self-motivated, show dedication to the job, and show that they're out there and want to do a good job and want to do good work. From there, it's a very, very competitive process to become a K-9 handler. So when a position opens up or a department is interested in adding another K-9 to their department, a lot of people put in for it. So it was a very competitive process that I had to go through. We had to do interviews, we had to do a kind of mock community demo with the K-9. And yeah, it was competitive. So you have to want it, you have to show that you're dedicated, and you have to show a sense of independence and having the motivation to do the job and do it well. After I was selected to become a part of a K-9 unit, I was sent down to our kennel down in Pennsylvania to select Kobalt. And like I said before, that's where I was partnered with Kobalt. I actually got to pick from a handful of K-9s, and he was the one selected that fit what we wanted for the type of dog we were looking for and fit really well personality-wise with my personality. From there, I went to a 4-week K-9 academy down in Pennsylvania where, again, I learned how to work with Kobalt and how to be a handler. He was already pretty good at his job. It was me that needed to learn how to do my job as a handler. After I successfully completed that academy, me and Kobalt became certified in all of the work that our department wanted us to be trained in, and now we're on the road on patrol. I've been on patrol with Kobalt now for just under 3 years. We continue training pretty much every single day that we work. A bare minimum, we have to do 16 hours of training every single month, and that's just kind of the standard that we need to meet. Most months we far exceed 16 hours of training. So this is a very, very good question. Most of the times, if you have a working K-9 that's out and about in the community, majority of the time they're out doing their job, so they're working. So just like any other service animal, It's there to do a job, so it's always best to ask before you approach any animal. And that's the same with even people walking their dogs down the street or out at the dog park. We want to assume that all dogs are friendly, but just to be on the safe side, we want to double check with who's ever walking the dog or handling the dog, just to make sure that it's safe to do so and we're not interrupting any job that they're trained to do. Canine Kobalt and I do a bunch of community events under normal circumstances. So we're out at like national night outs and we do demos for the community all the time. Kobalt is a very, very friendly dog and doesn't have a problem with people approaching him and petting him. So as long as people have permission and he's not out there performing his job, we have no problem with that whatsoever. Just important to ask first. Right, so we're going to show you guys a little bit of what Canine Kobalt can do. Behind me, I have a row of suitcases and different kinds of luggage set up. Canine Kobalt is able to sniff all of these and let me know which one has the odor of narcotics in it. So this comes in handy because we do sniffs for airports, or if we're doing certain like backpacks with game day and things like that. That comes in handy for on campus here. So I'm going to go grab him. I'm going to run him down the line, have him sniff every single suitcase. Sometimes we do 2 passes just so he can get both sides of the suitcases. So we might have to do 2 passes, or he might get it on the first try. We'll see what happens. Good boy! Good job! So that was an easy one for him. Nice job, buddy! Good. All right, let's do a quick tour of my squad. So this is the inside of Canine Kobalt's car. This is not my car, this is Canine Kobalt's car, 100%. Looks kind of similar to a regular vehicle with a lot of extra equipment in it. So it's got everything that a normal squad would, like the computer, a bunch of extra radios, the PA system. We've got some lights and sirens going on. Some things that are special to the canine car is our heat alarm right here. So this monitors the internal temperature of the car. So right now we're at 69, which is pretty good because it's almost 80 degrees outside. That alarm will tell me if it gets too hot or too cold for Kobalt to make sure that he's in a safe environment when I'm not in the car actually with him. This is his area back here. So I actually have a little sliding door. And he's just kind of hanging out there waiting for me to take him back out of the car so we can work some more. So yeah, that's our pass through for him. That's my car. Let's check out his area. So this is Canine Kobalt's door. Dolman. Good job, buddy. So I gotta tell him to stay, otherwise he jumps out at me because he's ready to work whenever. So this is Canine Kobalt's kennel. We call this a half kennel because on the other side there's still a seat for another person to sit if I need it for prisoner transport or just helping to transport someone somewhere else. Inside his kennel has a nice rubber mat, so he has some traction when we're riding around, so he's not sliding all around too much. And I have his water bowl, and then this is that pass-through door, so he can make it up by me there. All right, this is the trunk. So back here looks a little different than a normal squad, again, just because we have the equipment for the canine. So some really key things that we have are extra leashes for him, extra toys for extra fun. We have his harness for when we go tracking. In here is a pull-out drawer. So I've got some extra dog food on hand, some extra gloves, things that I need for patrol. We have an AED for if someone is having a heart attack and we need to help out with that. Got extra water for Kobalt. I've got water for myself in the main cab there. And of course we always have lunch on hand for our long shift. Thanks for joining us today. I'm really glad we got a chance to show off some of Canine Kobalt's skills, and I hope you learned something a little bit about our department and about the canine unit. If you have any questions, feel free to email me directly or check out our website. Happy to answer any more questions that you guys have. For now, we're off to work, and we'll catch you next time. Bye, you guys.